there we go.
Yep.
Are we back?
Yep.
Yes, we are
Stop
back.
bullying me about maths! I dropped out in year 12.
Oh, man.
Leave me alone.
It's not like sewing doesn't need math or anything.
I do a lot of maths every day for sewing, so... No. Okay, on Discord, Samantha B. I don't know how to pronounce your character's name, so I'm not going to say it.
It's-
like
Yes,
Meteor,
it's like Meteor, but arc
with
in the
arc
front.
in front. Yeah.
I live in fear of complicated names. Anyway,
So it's spelling and maths.
I'll just leave. Anyway, they asked if we could introduce ourselves as they don't know our names to our faces because we have new players in Discord that haven't been to game, and that's terrifying.
COVID.
We have new people we've never met face to face before. So, yeah.
Look,
Yes.
Why?
So who'd like to go first?
Chris,
Shall we
I
do
mean,
it
Addie's
clockwise?
first in the
Comments.
thing.
Do a little circle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just panicking about not being
Okay,
able
maybe
to see
Addie should go
comments.
last.
Okay, I'll go first then.
You go first, Betty.
Hello, I'm Bertie.
Hello, Bertie.
Hi, Bertie.
Hi, Bertie.
I play the Sentinel, the head of Light Camp. Millie, go
Next.
next.
Millie.
Oh, sorry. Looks to me like it's Becky next, but that's okay. I'm happy to go.
Millie.
I'm Amelia. I play Corin, the voice of Ruin and leader of Shadow Camp.
Spooky.
All right.
Camp.
I guess me. I'm Chris. I play Jove, the Taverner, and I'm pretty much in charge of Tavern Town, the settlement.
Hi, I'm Becky. I play
Becky.
Hi,
Pandora
Becky.
Thistlewaith, the Arcanist, who y'all have been bothering a lot on Discord. If you have so many questions about magic, join the magic camp. Anyway, sorry.
Honestly.
Yes, hi, I'm Becky.
Becky, I don't like complicated names. Also Becky, Pandora Thistlethwaite.
Shut up.
The rules
Hello,
don't
mate.
apply
Bullying
to
and harassment.
Becky.
I'm gonna make Pandora say Corin's full name.
Love it.
Coranios.
And
Oh,
yes, I am...
You can do it.
I used to
Oh my
do
God,
it
my
for
glasses are
Fiala.
giving me a headache.
Anyway,
I am the
Addie.
leftover, so here I am. Hello, I'm Addie. I play...
Hi,
Hassan.
Addie.
Hi! Thanks for letting me be here. It's a real good time. Yes, I play Kasan, the Pirate King and leader of the clan, and Knife Fiend.
And randomly stabbing people on
Knife
Discord.
Fiend.
Knife and bomb.
Can that be your new title stuff?
Knife Fiend.
Pirate King. I want Knife Fiend. I'll go change that in the doc right now.
Yeah.
Go and edit my wiki page.
Yes,
The
I
title,
will.
Knife Fiend.
Oh, but yes. So there's our introductions. Give us questions.
us.
Give
Questions.
me the tasty questions.
I was
want
about to
answers.
say that.
There's
I've been
you-
talking
I was
with
literally
my
about to say
awful way
tasty
of-
questions.
Yeah,
you,
I've
you
infected
both,
them with
you're
my
both the
awful way of
same.
talking.
You are the same person.
I've been around you too much, obviously.
I am hungry.
So Locrian
Feed me with
Matthew-
questions.
Matthew on Discord has asked how many people are in each of the camps surrounding merchants, hanger-ons, residents, etc.
Oh, it varies from
Are we
camp to camp.
talking?
Shall
We're
we
talking.
go around the circle?
I guess
In
like
places.
general
People, right?
population, including adventurers and NPCs.
Is that like
very-
just NPC type characters, or like player characters and NPC type characters?
It does just say surrounding merchants, hanger-ons, residents, etc. So
NPC
possibly
types.
N species. And it does vary from camp to camp. Maybe we should do a round circle again.
Circles, yes, I love those.
Yes,
Yeah, cool.
I'm sure you do.
Okay, so the clan is fairly small. I'd say Tavern Town is probably the biggest populace because it's like an actual township kind of thing. So yeah, clan isn't super big. Maybe 50 to 100 people. Is that too much? I don't know. There's because 100 people sounds like a lot, but when you see 100 people, it's not a lot of people. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
gonna-
our games sometimes hit 100 people.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, it's a crowd.
Yeah, I'll go with 100 people. About 100. Most of them are just scoundrels. Some of them are merchants because I love to steal Chris's thunder. But yeah, well, they're merchants that are not lawful enough to be in Tavern Town.
They're the explosives merchants.
Yeah, the clan is more of the black market of Guardian Vale. But yeah, not heaps of people. Mostly like food vendors and yeah, like a shadier Tavern Town, but small.
So Madeline on Facebook has just said we should have a sign up somewhere that says "Days since Kasana stabbed someone."
I love that. Yes.
I have
It would
some,
Need to
always
get
say
that.
0, though.
I have
Like,
some
Annie, you know
planks-
what
you
to
wouldn't
do
be
now.
able to
yeah,
change it.
I have
What's
some
the
planks
point?
that I've been meaning to make into a sign for my camp, so now I know what to write on it.
There have been X number of days since Kasana stabbed someone. If the number gets too high, you be very careful around each clan.
Fortus?
Oh yes, me. I am next. Light camp, probably a little bit smaller than most of the camps. I think. Gosh, I don't know. Like I would say probably a similar, like somewhere around 50 people, maybe closer to 100. I don't know. And that's like a combination of like sprites and stuff that live in like that come from Arkham Wood and hang out, as well as like traveling adventurers and like clerics and priests. Probably like a merchant or two who's like very devout to the gods and is like, I'm gonna go over here because I'm selling a bunch of trinkets for godly people. But like not many. I think like mostly like caretakers and stuff. Couple of people who were in like Flax's retinue. Retinue, is that the word? Like
Yeah.
who Flax brought with
Retainer?
them to the Vale.
Mostly trees.
Clingers.
Clingers, friends.
Posy?
Yeah.
Groupies?
Lemon.
Well, I wasn't. I didn't want entourage.
Oops.
I think retinue works. Anyway, yeah, like around 50-ish. Like it's pretty small. We're a cozy camp.
Cool. How about Shadow?
Well, by the sound of it, Shadow's actually quite smaller then. Aside from a few camp
You're
guards,
saying you have small camps?
aside from a few camp guards, there are a number of like very rough-looking mercenaries that sort of wander in the camp. They don't really keep the peace because that's not their job. Their just jobs make sure there's no like actual murder, unless it's sanctioned.
Sanctioned murder only.
No unsanctioned murder specifically.
true.
Any other
Um,
murder. Fine.
Any other murder's bad. It's yeah. So aside from a few guards that sort of wander about the place, and the new Fallen Elf Tea House, come visit if you haven't seen it. There's a whole lot of holiday. Was that even English? Probably not. There's not a whole lot in Shadow Camp. I mean, it does kind of reflect on the fact that it is a bit of a cult, and outside the veil, it is practiced in secret. And
It's
so
an exclusive club.
it is a bit of an exclusive. So there's probably less than 50. I'd say in the region of maybe 30 or 40 people.
This isn't including the goblin tunnels underneath it, though, right?
No, the the goblin tribe
Goblins
that's
don't
left.
count as people for the.
Goblins are
so true. Goblins don't count as people. Just ask Corin. But also the ones that are left, since the ones that were in Shadow Camp fled. The ones that are left are kind of feral, a bit wild, and they don't live in the camp. They live sort of in the broader Snakeswood area.
Cool. Guess me. Yeah, Tavern Town's your standard shanty town, anywhere from 2 to 500 people, depending on who's in town. The Weft is one of those places where people come and go fairly regularly, so there might be 100 to 200 people who've been there since the beginning, but then you'd have people who come out to test their fortunes, and it fails, or they succeed and they go back home to enjoy that. Also, there's lots of various pilgrims, and it's like Guardian Vale is a staging point as well. So occasionally, I like to think there would be sort of war bands and archaeological hosts and whatnot who stop there for a few days, restock, and then go westward and probably never come back. So yeah, it fluctuates. But as far as the citizenry, a couple of hundred. It's by no means a populous town or city. It's mostly wagons and tents.
Oh, Becky's turn.
So, like, I have 4 active players in a good day. So, and that there's no NPCs really in Circle. So, the max amount of people you might have is about 10, and that's people coming to visit, to gain knowledge, people who want to learn something from the traveling university. Yeah, we have people who come by to learn things, but no one really stays.
Doesn't help that the camp's always in a different spot.
Also, the tent keeps moving, which is not very convenient, and
Viridian
there's been
set it
plenty
up
of
and
people.
Pandora doesn't know how to fix it.
So every time the tent moves, you just get one really unenthusiastic person gets sick of it and leaves. But yeah, probably max 10 people at any given time. Usually less than that, just because we're a small camp. We don't have many player characters, and I don't have any NPCs that hang out there. No merchants hang out there, because it's just a really inconvenient camp to be a part of if you want to stay in one place for more than a few days.
So Indiana has a real quick question that we can just plow through before we get to ones with longer answers. What are our preferred pronouns? Which is very good question.
Thank you, Indiana.
Use they, them, or he, him. But
I use they, them. Merely.
Millicent.
Oh, I always keep thinking it's Becky next. But anyway, I use she, her. Thank you.
Christopherson.
Oh, just he, him, or hey, you.
I am she, her. Yeah.
Sick. Done. All right.
You've got the whole spectrum.
Yeah,
We have a
boy.
range here.
We have a variety of spicy flavors.
We've got spice here in the Scy'kadia admin team.
You are the spiciest.
I am the spiciest boy. Oh god. Michael wants to know, what are some of our favourite shenanigans that you've seen at a game?
Oh
Who wants
gosh.
to go first?
Do ones that we ourselves have done count?
Yeah, that's the important question.
Would you like to buy some flowers? Flower sellers.
Yes, I remember that game.
Yeah, the context to that, it was the season of Locusts, and both Birdie and I were playing Shadow characters at the time, and so all of Shadow was just going, just not nuts, but like a little bit kooky, and Birdie and I ended up like just grabbing some pebbles off the ground and going around to people being like, would you like to buy some flowers? We're flower
We also,
sellers.
to be fair, we also had flowers.
We did. We
At
had
one
like
point,
a
we
flower,
ended up-
and then we ended up just trying to give people rocks.
Yeah, we ended up trading a bunch of rocks for more flowers. And then we got locked up in Tavern Town, which was
It
a bit of a
miscarriage
miscarriage of justice.
No, it wasn't.
You guys confused a very confused Murky.
Nice. Also, Mim, I love your books. They're wonderful. They look very fun.
Thank you, Mim, for showing
Hi,
your
Mim.
books.
I've got a couple of shenanigans that were pretty good. One was when the pixie called Blue, ironic because he used to wear vibrant red robes and a big red hat. He was wanted for assassination, I believe, and so he was wandering around with a fake beard.
That's the one I was
that
gonna say.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And he
what
had a
else?
colander on his head. It was great.
That's the one. Yeah, gold. Yeah, no, there's so many little shenanigans that have popped up. All of Mortimus's attempts to oust Jove and become mayor
Oh,
that
golly.
failed within like an hour. They were always a bit of fun once I got past the frustration. Anyone else?
I gotta say, my favorite thing to ever have happened in game was, so when I was playing Mayor and my pirate, the Kraken, we split into two factions for a bit, and I left my songbook with my mate, who was the captain of the other Kraken faction. So the next game, he brought it to game and spent the entire game like teasing Naren with it, and so he's there holding it above my head like you can't get it, and Ash, M's old character, just comes up behind him, snatches it out of his hand, passes it to May, Gabby's character, who then passes it to me, and then I just went yes and ran off. And the betrayal as the tavern guard all turned against him was pretty great.
I think my... Oh, you first, Millie.
Mim. Hi, Mim.
Hi, Mim.
My... Wow, there's so many. But, friendship string.
Yes. You can be trusted if you have the string.
Oh, the friendship, yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
I have a piece of that string in my scrapbook.
Hell yeah. I think my favourite shenanigan is also my favourite Matt Hudson photo of all time.
Oh, I know the one.
Oh,
The best action shot he has ever gotten, and it is when I was playing Kasan back when he was regular player character, chatting with with Ash, the captain of the tavern guard, and in this photo of us just having a chat, you can see my hand stealing one of Ash's cakes, because she had these squishy cakes that everyone would just constantly steal. You can just see in the very corner me just yoinking it right in front of her while I am talking to her face to face. It is my favorite picture of all time.
Oh my gosh.
I'll honourable mention the Cosmook and his orc cohorts. Anytime they rock
yes.
up, the shenanigans are just constant.
Yes.
Like, they're really, really mouthy for orcs, honestly. Just
It's so good.
constantly trying to find babies to eat. Good times. Oh, and bullying anyone who's not an orc. Bullying goblins, especially. That's always fun to watch.
Lynn still has Haruki's testicles, apparently.
Wow.
Okay.
Also, I'm so entertained by this book that Mim is showing us. It's a wonderful book.
It is. It's a little hard to read, though.
Yeah.
Mm.
Put it a bit closer, Mim.
Yeah.
I need glasses, see.
I'm very blind. Right.
I see.
More questions.
We have some more questions in
In
the
Discord.
Discord.
How does each realm treat the average nomad?
Ooh.
Hey Chris, you're the law guy.
Mr. Lawman.
No.
Oh man, Chris.
Well, if we're talking, like, the archetypal nomads are the roving roo. And, yeah, it depends on the place. I mean, in most old cultures, like, outsiders were seen with suspicion at best. So I imagine there'd be a lot of that. But also bear in mind it depends on, like, I don't know.
What about your average adventurer wandering through a town in each realm?
Yeah, I think your average adventurer. I mean, I always love that trope of the common citizens thinking adventurers are insane and very, very dangerous. So almost being like, oh, you're covered in glowing swords. Oh, let's just give you some food and move you along, shall we? But then
It'd be
again,
like
I mean,
the-
you also have to think adventurers are the ones who take on like terrifying monsters and warlords and things. So
It'd be
yeah, I
the
think
look that Hobbit gave Gandalf as he walked through town.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really up to your interpretation of what your adventurer has dealt with. Another thing is depending on what kind of traveler they are. Like Job's Morethi, so I imagine if he was roaming around, most people would be like, "Oh, Morethi are, really full of themselves and arrogant and whatnot." So he'd often be treated with that in mind. Whereas like the average Thadian, for example, is considered, sturdy and educated and whatnot. They'd probably be just treated slightly differently. Don't know. It's
would
a one to answer.
Would like Lo Kuai or someone like that be a bit more open to strangers, or
They're certainly open to. Again, this is another thing. It also depends whether or not you're an obviously ordinary person or an obviously magical person. And Lo Kuai would be a lot more accepting of, for example, traveling elementari. No one is particularly accepting of traveling undead due to a certain war.
Rip.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Addy. But it is what it is.
Look at that face.
The Sabers,
Down.
no human realm would be particularly welcoming of your average like traveling elf because they're all considered magical. So the average human would be like, "Oh, get that magic stuff away from me." But like dwarves, for example, would likely be treated better because they've got their skills to offer and they're very anti-magic, which most humans in the world would be, pro that.
Be human,
again,
it makes life so much easier.
It's a mixed bag.
There are a few.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing. There are a few comments on Facebook, a few questions, but I cannot see them anymore. Can't access them anymore because they are, I can only see the 4 most recent comments. So if anyone asked a question in Facebook that hasn't been answered yet,
I can't see any.
I can't see any. Just a lot of comments so far.
Okay.
I see sad pirate noises.
Sad pirate noises, yeah. Can relate.
There have been a few. One from Monch on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Monch asks, what should a new player expect when going to their very first game? And follow on, is there any advice you can give them, i.e. Interactions, quest finding, etc.?
Expect terror.
People, don't be a nervous wreck and talk to
No.
people, because the only reason I had any fun was because my friend I went with forced me to talk to people. Otherwise, I would not have.
Yeah. That being said, it's perfectly fine to be a nervous wreck. I was a nervous wreck at my first game. I don't think I talked to anyone, and now Cass is one of the most mouthy people in
You
the
don't
world.
shut up.
People try to get him to shut up, and he just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think I really talked for my first, 10 games.
Yeah.
So, it's okay to be shy.
And for
Yeah.
your
You'll get there.
first game, if you don't know what to do, just come up to one of us in character and be like, "Hey, have you got a quest for me?" And we'll give you something to do. Or you can attach yourself to another player, like a veteran player or something. Or we will attach you to a veteran player. We'll be like, "All right, you trusted friend of the camp, take this person, show them the ropes, and we'll make them do our job instead."
Yeah,
We
we
will
have
pretty
a
much
very
always
lovely-
request.
We have a lovely community, but if you are an anxious person who is scared of going up and saying hi to someone and saying, "Hi, can I run with you for a bit?" That's totally fine. You are absolutely free to come up to one of us, because we are there to run the game and help you in that sense, and say, "Hello, is there someone I can tag along with? Is there something for me to do?" And we'll say, "Yeah, you, come over here. We've got this new person, I need you to show him the ropes." Bada bing, bada boom.
I'd like to make 3 points very quickly. I won't babble on, but the first one is that we're all in it together. We're all nerds in capes. And so, as silly as you might feel, we've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there. And you'll find that before your second or third game, you'll already know that everyone else, like, no one's judging you, no one's looking at your gear and going, that looks weird. Like, we've got people running around with like horns and like lizard contact lenses and whatnot. Like, you'll be fine in that. The other thing is that, as the rest of the team have said, our job is largely to bring new people into the fold, and so we make it our job to sort of make introductions and help people out if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And as Lynn has said in the comments, remember that the weather will affect you. There's nothing worse than coming to your first game and suffering heat stroke because
Sunscreen,
you didn't
water,
put sunscreen on.
very important.
Yeah, exactly.
Wear a hat.
Yeah. So, yeah, take your
Get a
health
hat.
into account.
Love a good hat.
Or just cover your
Everyone
skin
should wear a
head to
hat.
toe in full face body paint, and then
Hat.
you don't have
That
to worry.
also works.
Millie.
Can
And as for-
recommend.
Kind of,
What a new-
as an ex-orc, it kind of works.
I can tell you
suggest-
that Snazaroo has a surprisingly good sun protection.
Actually, yeah. I never got burnt when I played a Frost Elf, and I made her in summer.
I've never got burnt wearing Snaz, even on the days that I forgot to put sunscreen on underneath.
It's still awful for your skin, and please use sunscreen.
but
Oh
also
yeah,
still
please,
use sunscreen.
please do actually wear sunscreen though.
We're all just terrible influences.
We just made mistakes.
We have
But
made
new,
so
new
many.
The only
players
place
rocking up to your
I've
first
ever been
games.
burnt is right here on my chest when the little slit in my tunic. I got sunburnt through that.
Really, I know that
Nowhere
you've got
else.
a little bit toasty on your arms as well.
Not
Through your arm socks.
With your arm socks.
Yes, with the arm socks in summer, they are a little bit. They're not fully covering, so they do stop it a bit. Like, it's not as much if it was just open skin, but I need to remember to put it on my arms.
Yeah.
But the body paint, perfect.
Yeah, new players coming to your first game, something that you should expect is to feel like an absolute idiot. You're going to feel stupid,
Yes.
you're going to feel awkward, you're
Yeah.
going to be like, this feels dumb. Pretending to be another person, I feel real stupid. And
But it's the same with any hobby. Like,
Oh,
the
for
first
sure,
time you do
100%.
anything, you feel like you're out of your depth and you're awkward. So what?
Absolutely.
You get better at it.
but
And
roleplay,
don't
live action roleplay especially, like, you're just gonna feel like an idiot at first. You will warm up through it, you will come through it, because everyone else is also being an idiot around you, so...
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And don't be afraid to go overboard with costuming, because the amount of people that show up to their first game with barely any kit because they're too anxious to dress up too much because they don't want to be embarrassed, and then they come the next game and they're fully kitted out, all the stuff that they didn't want to wear. Just wear it the first time. You'll look amazing and you'll be way more
Yeah.
memorable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Go all out.
We should probably
We've
move on
got
to
a
more
rules
questions.
question,
Yes.
if no one else has got something.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
there's a rules question by Alex that says, in regards to staves and polearms, what counts as the business end of the weapon?
Well, that'd be the
Pointy
end.
Yeah. It's... I hope it's fairly self-explanatory, but I guess it's not since you needed to ask. But it's the... if it's a polearm with a sharp blade on it, the sharp blade is the business end of the weapon. It's not the haft, it's not the back end of the stick, unless it's, just a quarterstaff, which is all stick. It's the bit that you're supposed to hit someone with.
And if it's a quarterstaff, those are generally made to be able to hit on both ends.
Yeah.
So the
There's a
business
lot of-
end is just like, that last quarter on each end that you hit people
quarter
with.
on the staff.
Never the middle, because the middle is that solid part that if you hit someone, you're just punching them in the face.
Yeah, the
essentially.
middle
So
on
it's always
almost all
the end
polearms
of the
and
weapon.
staffs is gonna be more solid and is gonna actually hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have the flex that the ends of the weapon have. They will bend as they hit and take a lot of pressure off, but the middle is just like getting hit by a thing of... what are the cores of our weapons made from again? My brain's doing all the backflip.
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass. Yeah, it's just like whacking someone in the face with fiberglass, which sucks. But yeah, as for anything that has an obvious blade, whether it's an axe or whether it's a spear or a sword, it's always the bladed end. Or in the case of something like a hammer or a mace, it's always the striking head of the weapon.
Hodge has
Yeah.
said staves don't have a pointy end, don't stab people with them, they aren't designed to be safe for stabbing. So if you have...
Just don't stab
yeah.
with LARP weapons, generally.
Yeah,
To be
unless
fair,
it's like a little knife.
Yeah, most LARP weapons, unless they're cordless, aren't really designed to be stabbed with.
Yeah.
The tips will
Yeah.
bend and then snap over time, and you ruin your weapon.
I can
There are
actually get a
very
great
few-
example of what
there are very
happens if
few
you put
weapons,
too much
sorry.
pressure on the end of a LARP weapon, if anyone
go-
wants to see.
go get it.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna go get my
Um,
example.
Very few LARP weapons are actually designed to be thrust with. I think Callie did one.
Yeah,
I was gonna
there
say,
is
Callie
one
Kelly's swords are
rapier
generally
out there.
rounded enough to do it.
There's one rapier out there that I know OSAS sell that I was very close to buying, but didn't because then I
the one
became a
that's
wizard.
It's the one that's got that slight swirl to the handguard, right? But it's
Yeah,
not like an all-encompassing one. It's just across the hand and up behind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
I
a
like that one.
reinforced tip.
It's a nice
Fencing.
sword, yeah. I think
Yeah.
M has it for Ashella.
I'd also argue that some of, like, I've got some examples here too. Let me just grab them. So, like, the new Stronghold weapons are sturdy enough that I'd argue you could stab with them without them causing too much damage to the weapon. But it does still, if you're not accustomed to LARP fighting, if you haven't been doing it for a while, then stabbing does still run the risk of like hurting someone more than a flexing hit like this, where it flexes, whereas this doesn't. So
I have
yeah,
this
I think
example here,
it's case by case.
which is this one's made to be thrust safe, but so it's quite sturdy on the end, and it doesn't really bend that much. But you still shouldn't really thrust with them. This is
Yeah,
what
like
happens
these-
if you thrust
these
with a LARP weapon.
Yeah, depends on the
RIP.
equipment you use.
Rip my baby.
That makes
This is
me
broken
sad.
beyond repair.
No.
So-
Makes me very sad.
So what happens when shipping companies do not understand?
This was actually the fault of
LARP
the shipping
weapons.
company, and not me thrusting, but this is what would happen.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, that and you get micro tears in the end of your weapon, so
Yeah.
the entire tip can actually
you can
come
actually
off.
see
Yeah,
and then
one
you've got
of-
a slight
there's
bit
a
of
little
blood loss.
tear.
One
I
of
can't really see
my
it on the
swords
camera.
I foolishly let my cousin play with, and he stabbed a tree, and the tip ripped off.
Why would you
Oh.
stab a tree?
Yeah, I've never forgiven him, and that was about 5 years ago, so...
Oh my god.
So
Never forgive,
it-
never forget.
Never.
Dead to you.
Yes.
While we
Dead
don't
to you.
explicitly outlaw
You're watching
stabbing
Dylan.
in the game, we do recommend that you don't unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're new or you're not confident in fighting, generally thrusting is probably not for you because it does require a controlled strike. And if you want tips or pointers, Emily,
Tips or pointers?
Shayla. Emily's actually a very good fighter, and is actually trained in that kind of fighting,
In fencing, right?
in fencing.
Yeah, which is all about the pokey poke.
Yep, and she's absolutely nailed me a bunch of times right in the chest when I wasn't expecting a thrust.
Yeah,
From a
I
very
would
little
not
person.
recommend doing that sort of thing unless you've been trained to do that sort of thing. It's very hard. I did HEMA for a few years, and I'm still not confident to do that sort of fighting, so if you're not at all experienced with that sort of fighting, just don't. It's not worth it.
So
Actually, for new players, oh, sorry, I was going to say that as far as practicing with swords, since we're all stuck at home, even if you've got yourself like a long stick or something, something that I swear by is the 6 cuts, which is a cutlass training technique. But essentially, it's cut diagonal from shoulder to hip, cut back, so that's cut 1 and cut 2, reverse, so up, and then side to side. And if you get that slashing pattern, just keep practicing that. You will not only fit very well into our rules that avoid things like head strikes and neck strikes. And also, you'll teach yourself not to just jab at people. You'll teach yourself to strike for shoulders, hips, all the rest of it. It's a very quick thing you can do.
And if you want to learn more stuff about fighting, my HEMA school, Scy'kadia School of Defense, has a bunch of videos up on YouTube on how to do different kinds of sword fighting, which, if you're trying to learn, they could be really helpful.
Yeah, I've done online training as well while we've been in lockdown, and yeah, it's invaluable.
Yep. So to keep us moving.
Yeah,
Keep
we're
us
gonna have
going.
to keep pushing
Des
on
has got
with
a
question.
question.
Distracted so easily.
What are your characters' favourite weapons or magic to use? Let's go
Fire.
circle starting. Oh, yep. Okay, that works. Fire.
Okay, I'm good.
Long stick.
Yeah.
Long stick.
So who wants to go first outside of fire?
Well, Bort has said long stick.
I like long stick. That's not. I mean, it is my character's favorite, but it's also my favorite. I like long stick. I can get far away. Very nice.
I like little knife and big boom, both in real life and in character.
I always forget it's me. I like using a bow. They're a lot of fun. And magic. Ooh,
I miss
spooky.
archery.
I really like the spell fear.
It's
It
a fun
has
spell.
a lot of fun and great utility.
Yeah.
And Christopher?
Me, the player, I really like archery and using spears. I find that they're just really like. There's a reason spears were like the king of weapons for millennia. They're just so effective.
Just give a farmer a
but
spear and you're
Joe-
good to go.
Sorry.
Just give a farmer a spear and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Just stand 2 meters away and stab the dude. But yeah, Jove being a Merethi with a lot of like naval experience, cutlasses, like close quarter bladed weapons, and as for like he does use a pistol, but I haven't had a proper good working LARP pistol for like 2 years, so I'm so out of practice. But magic-wise, he loves Banish mainly for the theatrical entrances because he's a bit of a diva like that.
I mean, then I'd say
Yeah.
Blink, but that's not accessible to players. It's very rude.
yeah, true.
Monch,
I mean, my favorite's definitely a bow.
Monch has another additional question on a similar note to his previous one. How did your first time at LARP compare to your most recent? What changed? How have you improved?
I became an admin.
Same.
There's that.
Is that an improvement, or are we just putting
sometimes.
pressure on you?
Not for my anxiety levels, no.
Yeah, no, not for the anxiety.
Shall we go in a circle starting with Bortis?
Circle.
Just so I'm
I mean,
not
I'm happy
Starting
to
with
go
me?
first.
going
Oh
first.
gosh. Okay.
See.
My first time at LARP was scary. I had never been that far west before.
Oh, you fancy northern beaches.
The heathens!
My mother, I think, was more scared than I was. But no, it was scary and anxiety-inducing, but very exciting. And I think like what's changed, definitely improved, is that I've got more confident. I've made some fantastic, wonderful, supportive friends, and yeah, what's changed? I'm an admin now.
Everyone gonna say that except us.
I'm still here.
And also I've changed characters, and that too. Oh, that one, the first time at a LARP, I wanted to be the edgy guy in the corner, I'm not gonna lie. I very quickly discovered that actually that's not a satisfying role-playing experience, and your
Yeah.
character needs to have more depth than I am a grumpy assassin who sits in a corner.
What?
What?
No.
What?
I played that for 3 years and it turned out fine.
Naren was an assassin. Naren was a grumpy teen with anger
Yeah,
issues.
there was an angsty teen. So all you got to do is season it with a little bit of salt.
Yeah, sure.
A bit
Um,
of salt.
A lot of salt.
A lot of salt.
Who's next? Millie?
Really?
Sure. So I came to LARP by myself, and as someone who doesn't really like going outside and meeting people, I don't know why I did this.
Mood.
I guess Chris and Lynn are good convincing people. And yeah, so I actually ended up latching onto Lucinda at the first game, as we were at the game together, our first game. And what's changed? I like to think I've got better at talking to people, especially talking to y'all at the starter games up in front of crowds. That's scary.
Terrifying.
Christopher.
Christopher.
Whoa.
Christopher.
I don't know. I've become more aware of what players sort of looking for from their experience. It's all been a lot of trial and error and experimentation for 5 or 6 years now. But yeah, I've also got an expanded team, and so I've benefited from the input of almost a dozen people, which has been really good, and it's improved things, out of sight as we've travelled. As Lynn said, I've got a beard now. That's cool. Couldn't grow one of those a few years ago. I blame LARPing. It's actually increased my testosterone or something.
You heard it here, folks. LARPing increases your testosterone.
I hope not.
No, but
Time to run away,
jokes aside-
Millie.
No, jokes aside, for me, it's a very different thing to. I was never just a player with Scy'kadia, so for me, it's been more of a cycle of getting into a groove of things running smoothly, and then finding something that could be done better, and then having to adjust, and then moving like that. It hasn't been like a transition from 1 to 2. It's more like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Just yeah. Don't know if I can answer that much better. I've met a lot of cool people.
Also, Lynn is being disgustingly sweet in the chat.
Lynn!
Stop.
Love you.
Stop it.
We love you very much, Lynn.
Oh, and Aiden in the chat is being a massive suck up as usual.
Oh, is he?
Gross! Aiden!
Alright.
Becky.
I was terrified of everyone, and I decided to play an angry character who didn't really get along with anyone. And so I've learnt to if you're gonna play an angry character that doesn't get along with anyone, wear pink, and then they like you more. So that's one thing I've learned. Because I have a character type.
It's pink.
Wow, really?
Your character
just
type
angry.
is just pink.
Pink and
Angry
angry.
and pink, specifically.
Like a Jigglypuff.
I think just talk to everyone. Don't just talk to the people who are directly around you. I think that's the thing that I've learned and that's helped me change the most. Because my first 6 months at LARP, I only talked to the Kraken guys. I didn't talk to anyone else. And then my first weekend to hit, and I started talking to people outside of my faction, Radical, and it changed LARP entirely for me. It made it so much more fun, and I don't know, it helped me get more into character and be more out there. And I was a quiet person who did not talk to anyone, and now I'm a slightly less quiet person who talks to a lot of people because of LARP.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm also an admin now.
Yeah, what what you said, Becky and Millie as well, like your first game, your first couple games, you absolutely this is just a thing that happens. You absolutely like find someone to latch onto and be just like, please help me through this. Help help lessen the anxiety a bit more.
I followed Xander and Stephen Lyons around for 6 months.
I feel we both followed Kraken around.
Just followed Kraken.
Yeah, it took me a while to kind of find my place, I guess, in LARP. Like, I didn't join a faction until, like, I started one after many, many games. Scruffians for life!
Scruffians!
Oh god,
It's
I
only
almost
because I
forgotten
couldn't
about them.
convince you to join mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, well, I
We
almost
tried.
accidentally joined, because I started as a pirate, and the Brotherhood of the Kraken is a pirate faction, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll hang out with these pirates, and then I got home, and I'm like, hey Mum, hey Dad, I think I accidentally joined a cult. But as for
No.
how I've changed, at first we say it, like it's stated at newbie training, it says it in the rules that, you know, you're not the protagonist, you're not the main character, but it's still, like, it takes a while for that to actually sink in, for, like, what that means. Like, I would, on Discord, I would be role-playing stuff of, like, what I thought was like, ooh, I'm creating all this intrigue and mystery and people are going to want to know about it. No one cares about my edgy backstory or whatever. And I don't say that in like a no one cares about you kind of way, but more of just a, like, no one cares if you're fishing for it. So I think, like, I've become, I don't think I would have been asked to be an admin if I didn't have this change, but I became a lot more giving with my roleplay, I think. Like, I kind of had this mental policy of, you know, I'm going to lose so that other people can have a win. I'm going to, you know, take the sacrifice. I'm going to try and make sure the people around me are having a good time and I'm not just role-playing for my sake. So that's, I think, kind of the biggest change. No, actually, no, that's not the biggest change. That's a change that I had specifically in my roleplay. But as a person, I'm a lot more confident. I have social anxiety, which is very tough sometimes. Sometimes I can't even order food at a restaurant. But, you know, Scy'kadia, I'm very confident and loud in Scy'kadia because, you know, it's my comfort zone now, but also being able to, like, yeah, it's just, I'm more confident in general now. Like, I know how to talk to people. I am able to have more of these interactions with people that I'm not necessarily familiar with. But yeah, that's, you know, standing up for myself, that sort of stuff. Yeah, fun.
No, I get you on the whole, like, starting to realize that you're not the main character. Because, man, when I realized that, and I turned my attention to, okay, how can I make other people have a great time? My game improved so much more fun.
You're not going to be included by just going around and, you know, doing your own thing, because it is it's a community-based game. It's a social storytelling experience. So if you bear that in mind, the best thing is to turn to someone else and say, could you help me with this? And then your chances of success skyrocket. You're making new friends. And going back to the point of talking to people who aren't a part of your immediate faction, I'd like to argue that also helps psychologically from the win-loss mentality side of things, because when you are losing to someone that you don't know, you'll sometimes, without meaning to, take it more personally. Whereas if you talk to, rival factions and whatnot and realize that they are just ordinary people outside of their characters, then, taking the loss for the sake of their benefit becomes more natural to you as well. So, yeah, avoid hard feelings by just talking to people like they're people.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much nicer to lose to someone if you know that A, you like them and they're going to get a great role-playing experience out of it, and also B, you know that they too aren't winning just to win. It's going to be beneficial for both of you if you aren't playing the game to win. And
My best
to be the
experiences in the game
protagonist.
have been losing to both Shadow and Light in epic ways.
So trying to keep us on track.
Yeah.
More Leo
Yeah,
asks.
We had a
Yes.
What?
no, go for it.
Oh,
We have a Leo question.
yes. Will the
Leo?
non-human realms be getting a mini history timeline like the human kingdoms? I assume on the wiki.
They will, but in the cases of the Green Fang Forest and the elves, because their history largely doesn't change at the rate that humans do, and they're very insular and haven't had as many direct invasions, it's going to be more like legends of their past that they would often refer to. The Thunder Peaks will be more like a standard human history, because with probably a couple of dwarven / orcish / goblin myths as well thrown in. But honestly, with everything that's been going on with organising for weekenders around COVID and whatnot, and as far as motivation to get those things sorted, it's been put on the back burner for a little while.
It's one of those
there's
things
also
that we're like, we'll
places-
get around to it.
Yeah, we've been dealing more so with like insurance for next year, since we're not running games and things like that. It's all the mechanics of keeping things running, and of course, meeting up with other LARP groups to create more cohesion in the community in general, and doing our demonstrations and talking to the news and whatnot. So yeah, we do still intend to get it done. We also still have the Serpent Marshes, I believe, as far as human realms go. With an addition by one of our players as well that we thought was a really cool idea. So yeah, we'll be doing that, but yeah, do be patient with us. We apologise that it hasn't been done faster. Also, please bear in mind that we are not likely to add an extended history of places like the Sulphur Isles or the Crosslands or whatnot, because honestly, there's just not enough to bother telling.
Sulphur Isles is just like fire. That's it.
Yeah, it's fire and
Fire
big
and
wizards.
That's it
you know.
entirely. Oh look, another human got sacrificed.
So Kit
Exactly.
asks, costuming question. Any tips for getting the most amount of storage in your costume, thinking belt pouches, pockets, and what are the best ways to acquire and use them? That sounds like a Becky question.
Hello.
A cute little backpack.
Backpacks. Yes, I think
Satchels.
backpacks. There should be more backpacks in game. Backpacks are great. Satchels. I know Typo. I don't know if they sell them anymore. Typo used to sell these really good satchels that I know Monch had one for a bit. They're a bit expensive those, but you can often find them at like op shops and stuff because they're kind of out of trend at the moment, so they might pop up. Actual pockets in your clothing. Learn how to sew pockets into clothing.
I have something
cannot.
to add. Yeah,
Yeah?
when I made Kassan's stripy vest coat thing, I sewed pockets on the inside that were specifically made for certain things. Like one of them, one of them is because it's on the inside, it's kind of hidden, and yes, they do count as concealed pockets. Because one of them's kind of hidden. It's where I keep my phone, and I made that pocket to fit my phone exactly. Like I measured the fabric around my phone and put it there so that I would have an immersive way to be able to have my phone on me when I needed it. Because as a player, I didn't really need it on me all the time. But as an admin, if I need to check stuff, I can just whip it out and do stuff with it. But yeah, like I was like, okay, what do I need to have on me at game? I'm going to make those specific sort of shaped things into my costumes. I have like one for my phone, one for like some objective items, a little mini geld pocket, that sort of thing. But yes, that's my contribution. Goodbye.
Yeah, but definitely learn how to sew pockets into stuff. Naren's coat has pockets on the inside, and I have pockets in all my skirts that I wear for LARP have pockets in them because pockets are super, super handy. Also, like
Belt?
belts
Pouches.
and pouches. Pretty much any medieval fair, even like a normal general fate sort of thing, a lot of them have people who make pouches out of leather. And they're Australian made.
Lynn.
Very nice. Lynn, what?
Indeed.
Anyway,
Yes.
so pretty much
We've all
any
been there.
medieval fair, there are heaps of pockets. I got a really lovely pouch that was embossed and really pretty. Perfect size for my phone at Blackdown, so I can have my phone on me, and it looks in character, and it looks like just another cool pouch on my belt. And there's plenty of, like, I know people who puts, like, sleeve pocket things so they can store, like, daggers and stuff, or wands in their sleeves. I mean, I used to have a dagger sewn into my coat, that coat back there. I used to have a
I
dagger
stored my
sewn
knives
into it
in my
um,
braces.
because I was one of those awful, awful assassins who would walk up and pat you on the back and go sneak attack.
Hello, nice to meet you. Sneak
Nice to meet
attack.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
You mean the way assassins should work?
Anyway,
With subtlety.
subtlety. Anyway,
Subtlety.
my favorite was hugging people.
Subtlety.
Giving him a good hug
It's
and
like
going
a
sneak
suit.
attack. But yeah, so figure out ways you can even sew stuff into your costumes. Learn how to sew. Even if it's just a little bit of hand sewing. Being able to sew just a pocket into your clothes, just a pocket into your coat, can make a heap of difference and just make your life so much easier.
Perhaps another costuming stream for
Yes.
practicality with costumes is in order,
Yes.
because there's also a few questions about like suitable hats and everything that we might just skip for now and save for like a costume specific stream later
Yes,
on.
I will probably do another costume stream at some point because there were more
For
questions
your
after last
costume
time.
stream, a way to store spell tags that's convenient and easy to
Yeah.
get at.
Yeah.
Would
And we
like
can take
to add
notes.
just two little things.
Mhm.
First being, if you go into any $2 store, you'll find usually in the craft section these little pouches with the pull string, which are just generic. Often they're made of hessian, sometimes they're just made of cloth. But those, and also a ring clip that you can get for $1 from Bunnings. If you don't want to like thread a whole bunch of stuff through your belts, I swear by it that you can also just have a plain metal ring clip that will sit over your belt, and you can just clip bags of coins or currency or little trinkets on as well, and that'll set you back $5, and you'll have, you know, effectively the equivalent of 6 or 7 new pockets.
Right.
Just something I've learned.
Mhm.
And the second thing, I've forgotten what it was, but I'm sure it was brilliant.
Monty Boy asks, what are some cheap and easy ways to represent your character's race? I will cover that in the next makeup stream that I do, because I will be focusing on special effects makeup, which is usually for that stuff. So I do have plans to do another stream just at some point. And what are some do's and do nots for kit? Can I wear 3 layers and a wool shawl in summer?
No.
I don't know, Nathan.
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't.
Well,
You
Nathan
can, but
does,
you'll
and
get-
he shouldn't.
You'll get heat stroke.
I will
and
also
pass
slap you.
out.
A good tip
Dues.
also is don't wear thermal underwear in summer
Oh, yeah.
Do,
and then run
dudes,
around.
do have a summer kit, or at
Yep.
least some way that you can like
Have
pare
natural
back your kit
fibers.
for
Natural fire.
breathability and lightweightness. Do wear sunscreen and a hat and bring water. Do not
Hat.
wear a wool coat in summer. I know it looks cool, but
Becky?
you know what doesn't look cool? You passing out of heat stroke.
Wearing a coat in summer, Becky.
Follow
Shut
safety
up, Millie.
guidelines. follow safety guidelines for costuming pieces like corsets, coloured contact lenses, even things like binders, footwear, that like literally anything that has like recommended use, recommendations for use, please follow them. Like contact lenses, for example, don't wear them longer than 4 hours. Binders,
Please
don't wear them
follow the
longer than
rules.
8.
Binders, yes, you can wear them for 8 hours. Yes, that is less time than a game, but you're also probably going to be doing like a lot of
Strenuous
activity.
activity.
You should not wear your binder to a game.
Yeah.
Buy a sports bra that like doesn't have cups, because they'll be flat across the front, and they'll give you more support, and they won't like compress, but it'll flatten you a little bit. That's a better way to do it. Corsets, don't lace them up tightly like you're going to a fancy ball and sitting in a photo shoot for like 10
Tight-laced.
minutes.
Voila!
Don't do it.
I've made that mistake because I'm an idiot who wears corsets a lot.
Get you a comfy
Comfortable.
corset, and then,
And
Comfy shoes.
you know, make
Wear
sure that
practical
you're
shoes.
checking in with yourself. Comfy shoes as well.
yeah, I was literally going to
Even
say
if they're
avoid
not
heels
immersive.
where possible, because the vast majority of games you're walking on uneven terrain. And I mean, we've seen people in, joggers who have flat out fallen on their faces just by stepping wrong. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Lynn just
in
said
fact,
don't
boots,
use
if you can.
duct
Boots
tape to
with a
flatten
flap.
anything.
If immersion or costuming pieces are going to negatively impact your comfort and safety, do not use them.
Yeah,
It's not worth it.
just if anything, just make sure you've got good shoes.
Yeah.
Waterproof.
I
shoes.
have tripped
Like
down that
waterproof.
hill and skidded like 5 meters before because my heel separated from my boot. And I
Waterproof
was running
shoe
away from shadow.
is also good.
Important
Waterproof.
thing that Lynn
Yeah.
notes is don't use duct tape to flatten anything. If you are binding or wearing a corset in any way,
Do not
do it
use
safely
bandages,
and
do
with
not-
do it safely and with actual products that are used for that, i.e. an actual binder or sports bra or a professionally made corset that fits you. If
We
you
just
are
want to keep you all
binding or
safe.
body shaping in any way, do it safely. Don't just tape or bandage shit down and in, and you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. And if you're going to be a combatant, make sure that you're wearing clothing with a little bit of, I don't want to say stretchy clothing necessarily, because a lot of people go for the traditional medieval look, but just make sure that you can move in it, because you don't want to get into your first fight and your brand new fancy coat rips because you're... Oh dear. Because
wear a
your-
tailored
you know,
suit.
your shoulders split it or something. So yeah, just avoid, or like skin tight leather, for example, is terrible to fight in.
Bad
You'll chafe,
idea.
you'll feel awful, you'll feel really gross. So yeah,
Yes,
just make sure
Monch.
you can breathe and move.
Safety over immersion.
Yes.
So, how was the skin suit, Hodge?
Oh, the skin suit. That was one of the most disgusting experiences of my life.
Oh god, that skin suit.
Sewing Hodge in
sewing.
the skin suit.
Gabby Gabby asks,
You
what
have
are
a-
some fighting techniques for people who suck at combat?
Be the healer, so everyone thinks you're valuable, and then they all try to protect you, and then run away whenever it starts to look bad. But then your faction realize that they've lost their healer, so they follow you. But then they're still protecting you.
If you suck at combat, use a polearm, because then
Long
people
stick.
have to get real close to you to be able to hit you.
That too.
Long stick.
That's also helpful.
I also want to recommend just two very simple things, because I've been training new players to do this for forever. If you're not confident with your ability to block things, get yourself a shield, because they are very cheap to make, as opposed to, like, a polearm is great, but often polearms are very costly. But a shield can be made for close to $10. And if you want to know how to do it, there's a million tutorials online, but also our whole community is full of people who have done that. I made one myself for a player very, very recently. It's super easy to do. And the other thing is, teach yourself not to move your sword behind your shoulder. Just make sure that, and just practice this even when you're doing, like, as I say, the 6 cuts. Just make sure that when you are trying to block things, I was sparring with my girlfriend recently, actually, and I noticed that she was hitting me more often than not because I would block and then bring my weapon behind me, and it gave her that split second to hit me, which was pretty impressive. But at the same time, all I did was I changed my guard to just this, and all of a sudden she couldn't hit me. All right. So if you're worried about your technique, just train yourself to do these very basic things. You know, for like 10 minutes a day, just do the 6 cuts and train yourself to not automatically, bring your weapon behind your back. It can't protect you there. Here, it automatically does.
Also, just
Hope
a
that makes
couple
sense.
other things. Like Chris said, polearm is a great way to for like back fighting, keeping people away, but they are very expensive. Shield is a cheaper option. Another cheap option is magic. It's gonna cost you like $10 to make some magic sacks, and then you can stand back and just
Throw freeze at someone, then run away.
get freeze.
Invest in Vanish.
Get freeze. Vanish. Vanish doesn't cost you anything. You just gotta.
Just
Don't
like-
even have to
Fingers.
make yourself some magic sacks.
It'll barely cost you your dignity by doing this as you run away.
Just spirit fingers and mute yourself out of combat.
Yeah.
We've got a comment on Facebook. Heatstroke is definitely what I most fear coming into summer, and not being able to drink water when the toilet blocks are closed. So I will say there is access to water on site that isn't locked behind a toilet wall. There is a bubbler in the playground that is nearby that you can refill your water bottles at. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and as for the toilet blocks being opened or closed, we do have a set of keys. There was a temporary while there where the key the council gave us only opened one set of bathrooms and not all 3 of them, but we have since sorted that issue out. So if you ever find that maybe some of the other sport groups who come through our venue have shut it as they've left, because of course they don't care about the other people next to them, just come and talk to an admin and we'll go, okay, here's the keys. Simple stuff. Yeah.
Samantha asks, how do you suggest travelling on public transport with LARP weapons? I'll be
Big bag.
coming from Newcastle, and I'm not sure how to get a quarterstaff down on the train.
Ooh, okay. I when I had a sword and a bow and stuff, I went up to Midgard LARP a few times, and I put it all in a camping chair bag, which worked for smaller stuff. I've openly carried a quarterstaff on the train, and no one bothered me. So,
Why
I've
would they?
used
You're carrying a quarterstaff.
I've used a surfboard bag for moving LARP weapons long distance. That worked fine. I had to duct tape up the bag so it was tighter around the LARP weapons so they weren't wobbling around, but it worked.
Hockey stick
Lynn,
bag.
yeah, ski bags from Lynn. There are a lot of basically. No one really makes specific LARP weapon bags, but there are plenty of things that are similar length that there are bags for.
if you do desperately want a bag for swords, start looking at HEMA gear. So there's SPES, which I use for a lot of my HEMA gear. I believe they have bags. I'm not sure if they have them at the moment, but they have bags specifically for swords and stuff. That might be what you need.
Or just carry it because, let's be honest, it doesn't, once you go like that and they realize you can squish it.
Quarterstaffs,
also-
swords and stuff, yes, but quarterstaffs, if they're looking at it
it's
from a
a
distance,
walking
it just
stick.
looks like a stick. No one really cares.
So, a couple of comments in the comments section that are great. I'll just rattle off. Tent pole bags. Aldi are selling camping bags designed for poles. Hockey stick bags as well. You can get them from Decathlon or whatnot. Surplus City in Parramatta it's an army surplus place that has a lot of military long bags as well for carrying gear and probably weapons. So that's a thing. But also, if you're really desperate just to hide, if you've got a LARP spear and it's a little too long to fit into your average duffel bag, I would recommend just wrap it in some fabric and just stick a hair tie on both ends. If you're worried about people knowing what it is, that's a very cheap, simple way to do it. If it's mainly about the not wanting people to see what you're carrying. Yeah. Because we in the very early years, we just used a sports bag for carrying around our loner weaponry, and you could carry 2 dozen average sized swords in it, and it never caused us any sort of issues. Yeah.
Sword sack.
Just don't
Yeah, sword sack.
just don't leave them in
like the
direct
magic
sunlight.
sack.
Yes.
Oh yeah. If no matter where you're transporting your weapons, or even if you're just leaving them around for a while, don't leave them in the sun.
They melt.
The latex will crack and wither away, and the paint job will be ruined.
You'll have a bad time.
Quick question from Samantha: is there a disabled access toilet?
At the regular
Yeah.
site. I think so.
There are 3 toilets, a ladies, a men's, and a third one. I think that third one is a disabled.
It's a disabled.
Yes.
Yeah, disabled in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all accessible. I think the disabled one is just extra wide stall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the disabled one has a pull ring on it as well, as opposed to just walk in. Yeah, if that helps.
Immersive stuff to drink that looks like mead. Lynn just said apple juice, which is a great idea. If you want potions to drink, use like Gatorade or cordial or something.
For
You can
my
brew
potions,
yourself. You can
Yeah.
brew yourself some tea as well, and like a tea that tastes good cold as well. Have some iced tea. That's pretty good.
Mango iced tea with honey.
Mm,
There's heaps of.
yummy.
Sorry.
Addy is expert.
Yeah, for my potions, I use food coloring and soda water. Mine are a couple of the food colorings I use are flavored, but I also have non-flavored ones. Just because, like me in particular, I am just kind of handing them out to everyone, so I need to make sure that there's like nothing in there that's going to mess with anyone's dietary requirements. So for me, because I am supplying to many, many people, I just use carbonated water and food coloring for my potions. But yeah.
Powerade powder and Gatorade powder as well. If you're going to make a ton of potions, like for my warding draft.
After a while, though, so be careful of that.
Oh, sorry.
It does,
It does
go,
go
off
off.
after.
Does
Yeah.
go off after a bit.
Oh,
You got to
God,
make
yeah,
them fresh
yeah,
for each
you wanna-
game. Like you can't have them
Yeah,
in the cupboard.
you want to make
Don't-
sure that you're using it.
Don't decant
Yeah.
it into like an immersive looking bottle and then not keep a note anywhere of when the expiration date is.
Is that from experience there, Addison?
Sort of. When
We have a question on Discord from Desmond. Where's Gideon from? Unfortunately, none of us are Lynn, so
Yeah.
Shut up, Desmond.
I'm sure that Lynn will
sure
happily
Lynn
give up
will-
permission to say
Yeah.
shush.
Yeah, Lynn says in the comments, be mindful of food coloring if you're giving stuff to other people because of allergies, and declare what your concoction is made of. So if you are, like, if you have an alchemy kit and someone's come up to you to buy, like, get you to craft something for them, absolutely tell them what the thing that they're about to put in their body is made of. And if you, receiving a potion or a food item from someone else, specifically a food potion, if you're not too keen on drinking it, just pour it on the ground, and that'll be like, yes, it is consumed.
Yeah. And like that goes to the same thing if you're bringing snacks to games or anything like that, which currently we haven't been allowing because we have still been operating under COVID safe stuff. But when we did, and if we get the chance to do again, always bring in a little ingredients list is always wonderful if you're going to offer people snacks. Yeah.
For sure.
You could even make it immersive, and when people ask what it is, you can, here's my recipe.
Basically, if you're going to host a tea party, make sure that you have various options available for people.
Coral's tea party was the best.
Because Lynn's in the chat on Facebook and Des is in the Discord chat, I just want to relay to Lynn that M has hit Des with a sword for asking that question, and he said it hurt.
Yay, thanks, Em.
Thanks, Em.
Alright, we got a question from Joel. Alright, here's a question
Joel!
for the admins. Who do you think is the most dangerous character in LARP right now? Player character or admin character? I'm gonna say
Dangerous.
let's give two answers of like admin characters included and just player characters, because by the nature of the game, the admin characters are way more powerful than player characters.
In dangerous in what way? As in, like, in a combat, or?
However you want to
Okay.
quantify dangerous. Would you like to start, Millie? Go in a circle.
Sure. I'm in the middle, but sure. On my screen, that is. Dangerous player character. It's been so long since we
It's
had a
been.
game.
Time.
Uh,
Well, the player or the actual character? Which one?
Character.
The character.
Character.
Ever or active?
Ever.
Ever.
The dangerous player's character, I would say would be Canis.
Yeah, fair.
Ooh.
he was pretty impressive.
Either inside of shifted, but especially when shifted. When shifted, just a nightmare.
Yes.
Especially back in the
yeah.
old rules, the amount of hit points
Yeah.
that Canis actually had.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Are we doing the circle, like circle? Or?
And-
Yeah.
Yes.
So you, Christopher.
Okay. Admin wise, I would argue Corrin. Just in terms of being a lethal entity. But as far as like player characters go, Bannon, hands down.
Oh yeah.
Bannon
Oh, yeah.
is a just player-wise, Lei is an incredible sword fighter. It's always a joy to watch. To the point that Bannon actually had to be almost taken out as a playable character and made more of a wandering threat, which again horrifying. Bannon was the one character that if there was a big swarm of shifters or monsters coming, he'd just draw his two katanas and. You know, like there's the trope of the twin katana thing is always lame, but no, he made it work. Yeah, just a blur of constant hits.
Fighting
It's
with
amazing.
two weapons is really hard to do, but incredibly good if you can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, he owned it. Yeah. So,
Becky.
There.
Becky.
Admin wise, I don't know. We haven't seen enough of Flax, but also Flax is such a bean.
I feel like Flax is that one that's like just kind of chilling in the background, not like actively, murdering anyone, but absolutely will go ham, like when pushed enough.
I'm not thinking power wise. I'm just thinking like personality wise.
Flax personality wise is the most
Personality wise, I think Kasan. No idea what he's gonna do
That's so
at
true.
any given time.
Unpredictable.
Like, could be your best friend, could stab you with dynamite and let you
¿Por qué no
explode.
los dos?
I don't know. So
I'm pretty sure
admin-wise,
Kasan has
Kasan.
stabbed their best friends.
Oh yes, many times.
Yeah, he stabbed me numerous times.
Yeah.
As for player characters, I think Echo.
Ooh, yeah. Actually,
Because, like, sure, there's the people who are good in battle, but Echo can get stuff done. And if
yeah.
Echo has a thing,
terrifying.
if Echo has a thing against you, that is the most terrifying thing ever.
Mm.
I love
Just-
Echo.
Leo does.
Echo may not have like the power in terms of like battle or like any more mechanical power than people, but she's
champion.
she's got influence,
Mm.
which is the thing that makes her scariest.
And
I
speed.
think.
Both giggling
Much
out
smooth.
there, and I don't know what's happening.
Echo is definitely a very strong, like, roleplay danger. Like, not necessarily, isn't like an absolute menace to fight like Bannon or Canis is, but, oh boy, like, roleplay wise, absolutely.
Just
I just-
ask Ignat how scared of Echo they were.
I just love I love characters
Idiot.
who just have a presence.
Mm.
It doesn't matter how good they're at fighting; they just have a presence about them where you're like, "Oh, I could die right now."
Well, Corrin did pick their lieutenants good.
Um,
Alright,
so
next.
admin wise, I reckon Pandora is the most dangerous. Because I can't pick myself.
They're
Oh,
unknown.
yeah,
No, but
obviously.
legitimately, I do think Pandora's is most likely and most capable of effing me up. Player-wise, dearest Sir Galanath Duskbringer, because
Yana!
he will break your bones and then break your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
Or in the opposite order, depends how he's feeling that day.
Depends on the day.
I mean, all he's got to do is draw his sword, and the stench makes his hand drop to the ground.
Sneaky onion sword.
Oh, that sword. I'm just lucky that I have no sense of smell.
Oh, man, that's so
Having to be around that sword.
Yeah. Get a new sword, Aiden, please.
Or just get better wrapping.
Or that.
Ugh.
Been
Alright.
years now.
Versus.
Mr. Blight.
Do we have an... Is that everybody?
Excuse me, I still have
Yes.
to
How
go.
dare you,
Yes.
Chris?
Oh, yes.
Again?
I think the most powerful admin character is. Okay, so here's the thing. I think.
You got to go through the pros and cons of each of us.
No. I was gonna say Pandora, and I think that Pandora is, but I also think that everyone underestimates how much power Jove has in terms of influence. And
Oh, yeah, Grove was my next option.
yeah. So honestly, I'd toss it up between Pandora and Jove. I think the Pandora would beat Jove in an instant, but I wouldn't want to go up against Jove in battle. In terms of like the fact that he'd probably send all of Taventown against me, and then I would never be able to buy anything ever again.
So
To be
my
fair,
reasons,
Jove would just have to hit
Batman.
Pandora
Yes,
3
resources.
times and she'd be dead.
yeah, my reasons for not picking Jove, I stab him too much to be scared of him. And his guards never do anything about it. So
Ah, yeah, that too.
love you, Chris.
It's because they're terrified of admins.
Stop being scared of us. We're not going to do anything too mean to you.
But moving on to player character, all of the things, all of the people I was gonna say have like been said. Oh, Becky just got invaded.
I got tea.
Now, look, if we could pick our own characters, I'd say Carrie, just because I love her. But I'm gonna say, I think I would actually say, I've forgotten her name. Jess's character, Ilona.
Oh, Ilona,
Ilona.
yes.
Alana
Terrifying.
has
I
very
miss her.
spoopy vibes, like
Yeah.
they're kind of similar vibes as Echo.
Yeah, same reason
Similar,
that
yeah.
I would make Echo so really so powerful, because both of them just are terrifying, have a terrifying presence that's very subtle, and everyone in Shadow Camp will listen to them at the drop of a hat,
Yes.
and that's scary. Alona also had a lot of people who owed her favors
Yep.
who weren't
Oh,
in
yeah.
Shadow Camp
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I really hope
Can
I get
people
to see
stop
Ilona at
calling
game again.
Shadow characters
yes, if
favors?
you're out there.
Shadow
Let's
Camp,
go
Stop
back
agreeing
to
but
with
us.
Shadow
yourself.
Camp will do anything for you for a favor.
Oh, if
It's
we're
like no one's
including,
ever read any fantasy book about evil ever.
if we're including
Yeah, okay,
previous
I'll
admin
accept this.
characters, if we're
This-
including
the-
previous admin
Ugh.
characters of who's the scariest, my vote changes to Gideon.
Gideon.
Oh,
Gideon.
true.
I mean,
Scary
she's
witch.
a literal demon now.
Luther was a pretty potent character.
Oh, Luther as
Where's that?
well.
Oh, actually.
I mean, a voice of
I
ruin
got-
is always going to be a deadly
I
creature.
got
The jackal.
very bullied by Luther, so you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that has may have a sort of bias. But Gideon's a literal demon now, so I mean,
The jackal.
oh,
True. Yeah, the jackal
Hmm.
was terrifying.
another character I
I
got
think I
bullied
got
by.
to interact with the jackal enough to be like, yes, because we never really crossed paths.
I wish I could say I didn't interact with the jackal enough.
Kraken got
Oh man.
tangled.
Archer just knew he could mess with me and I would go along with it. And oh boy!
Yeah, Lynn, I did have plans to bring back Luther and Gideon for a triple threat voiceover run for one game. So,
No.
so
I
hello?
think
Gideon's
not.
already promised to be my guard when she comes back. So sorry, you can't have her.
so yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk, Lynn.
So Kit over on
Yeah.
Discord has asked funniest characters you've seen or ones who made you laugh the most. Who wants to start this time? We'll just keep going circle, but starting with different
Funniest.
people.
Wait, what was the question?
Funniest
characters.
characters or ones who've
Oh.
made you laugh the most.
George's pixie character.
Greenbeard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Greenbeard the pixie. Yep. George is a great role player when he's not monologuing, and he is a generally funny guy. And when you put it into the pixie, and the rest of the world's been embiggened,
If you all
And,
missed that debate, you have not laughed.
I'm genuinely concerned that he got embiggened into an actual game, and has disgraced
Oakenbeard.
Yes,
Oakenbeard.
Oakenbeard the Green.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Um,
so good.
I've already mentioned Blue and Fosmook. Yeah, they would be my two picks, but yeah, again, Oakenbeard is a very recent, hilarious addition. So that's
Could be the brown.
I've always got to put in an honorable mention to Drunk Alon. Just the funniest experience of my laughing career.
That was at a
God.
weekend, yeah.
That was a weekender where Alon got in-game drunk in a drinking
Wow.
challenge against the Sentinel.
Gosh, guys, it's Oakenbeard the Brown.
Brown.
I thought it was green.
Oh,
Yeah, he is
No,
green.
no, no, no,
so
no,
you
no.
think
That's
it's green.
because all the
Oh, he
pixies
wears
are the wrong
green.
color.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
like blue
It's just
and
like Blue
red.
wearing all red. Can the Pixies stop giving themselves color names and then
Hey,
dressing
I
opposite?
didn't. Excuse me.
Arca didn't have a
Rest in
name though.
Pieces, Arca.
Arca's name.
Hmm.
What?
They didn't have
The
a
name
color name.
Yeah, that Chris just said. Pixies stopped giving themselves color names, and I said I didn't.
Vicky! Long
Vicky
live
Borgona!
co-founder of the
True.
Scruffians! Becky
was
the
Oh,
funniest.
Honorable mention to
Funniest
Ash, head guard, not
Yeah.
because she was intending to play a comedic character, but
It's more
just
like-
the constant
Oh, yeah.
deluge of shit she had to deal
Yeah.
I
with.
feel bad
Yep.
for Ash and Emily
Ash is
having
like
to
the
deal with
straight
the
man in a
puddles.
comedy, which makes...
Oh yeah.
Ash had
Oh, yeah.
to deal with the puddles, and we
Oh my god.
broke
yeah.
Ash on several occasions,
The puddles.
especially with the whole name thing. I feel bad for Emily at times, but it was quite funny.
I have to say two, and one of them is Millie's or character. But Current and Murky
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. The
were
puddles.
absolutely delightful.
The puddles.
Just the best. Just
We
these
played
two
off each other
stupid
so bad.
elementary.
We would go get directions from Solos and forget them almost instantly when the first person crossed our path. And the whole Life of Jove saga is
Oh, man.
a wonderful tale.
Oh, the life of Joe.
So good.
Moving us right along,
How
we have a
dare
question.
you? You skipped me, Bertus.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Addison.
Well, a lot of good names have come up. Names that were on amongst the ones that I could pick. So I'm gonna pick one that I'm quite biased towards. But Horatio Plumbucket never fails to make me laugh. Probably mostly because he's played by my brother, so he knows how to target my funny bone. He knows exactly what to say to make me just break out a character and cack myself.
So much like Victavius, you can kind of scream Horatio from across. You can kind of scream Horatio from across the battlefield and get a response.
Do you have to give Octavius
we've
an honorable
also-
mention?
Honorable mention to Yorska and his sheep.
Honorable mention to Eli too.
Oh
And
yeah.
Now I'm just thinking about Triss and his first character Tassel. Who
Oh
was
my
just,
god.
Just a guy making rope.
Just a guy making rope.
It wasn't
Tier
an
3
adventure.
warrior.
Tier
Tier 3
3 warrior.
warrior sitting in circle, making rope and napping.
He didn't even have a weapon.
Oh man.
I
That's,
I accidentally burned
want-
Tassel at a weekender. I didn't mean to. It just came out.
I want more players to just not be a killing machine, but just rock up and just be a rope maker, be a painter, be a bucket seller. I don't care. It's great for immersion.
Seller.
Triss did that for
I do
almost a year
Seller.
before he finally bought a sword and played a serious character.
It's
great.
Munchy Boy asks in
I'd like to also. Oh, sorry.
Wait,
I
no,
was
you
just going to
finish.
mention with Victavius, he's also honourable mention for not just being funny, but also playing flirtatious without making it creepy and weird. He's one of the few people
Yeah.
who pulled off playing the bard like flirtation thing and made it entertaining. So that's
Just because it's so ridiculous. You know that he's not actually trying anything.
exactly.
We have skipped over a question from
Oh.
Kit that is tips for having an immersive
Wow.
water bottle on your person during
Oh.
game. I mean, the
Oh.
obvious tip is buy an immersive water bottle.
Yeah. Or,
Which
So-
I
maybe-
have
Epic
one as
Armory
well.
sells some leather water bottle covers where you can get
I-
a non-immersive one and cover them.
So those leather water bottle covers, I have one of those. They are tiny. They
Oh, okay.
they like barely squeeze around one of those little Mount Franklin bottles. So if you have a small enough water bottle, you could go for one of those, but I don't really recommend them because you need significantly more water at game than that.
What
Ooh,
I
that's
do
fancy.
is I have a large water thing at camp with one of those little taps, and you can pour your water in. I have one of those that I cover with a blanket in camp, and then I just have some cups there. For anyone who comes past who needs water, they can just get themselves a little bit of water, and it's covered up. It looks immersive. You don't know it's there unless I point it out.
I have
Just don't do what I do.
a wine bottle bag that it's got. I don't know where it came from. It was just like a thing that was in my house. But yeah, I have a wine bottle bag that looks fairly immersive. Like it's just plain cloth with a kind of low-climb sort of design on the front. So I just shove an actual good-sized water bottle in that and carry that around. I'm sure there are plenty of immersive-looking wine bottle covers you can get. Like I saw some like faux fur wine bottle covers at Victoria's basement a while ago. That sort of thing.
Medieval Fight Club.
Mm.
Very
Medieval
cheap.
Fight Club are very good.
Oh, they're good for just like general little things, like even just
Knickknacks,
like
yeah.
half of my garb that I wear is just plain shirts for like $10 from Medieval Fight Club, and it's like next day delivery. I'm not sponsored by them, but yeah, honestly, I couldn't get behind them more. And even just in terms of like plain armor and whatnot, they're a really good place to go to get like what would it be like bavors and things like that, you know, and they're always cheap as hell. So
And if you
yeah,
live up the
Medieval Fight
coast,
Club.
they have a shop front in Erin Fair.
Turn up at makers fairs, like medieval fairs, but also just like what are they called, markets and stuff. There's always people making funky stuff. I got this at a market. It was at a Viking festival, but just look around. Op shops as well will sometimes have some funky bottles.
But if you can't find an immersive way to have water on your person, just don't have an immersive way. Just have water on your person. That's
No
way
one's
more
Yeah,
important
gonna-
we're
than...
always going to ignore like a water bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Like-
as we'll ignore plain boots.
Yeah, it's like sneakers. Like, as long as it's going to keep you safe and it's going to keep you hydrated, we're okay with it.
Yeah. If it's an unnecessary immersion breaking thing, like a high vis vest or something, then yeah, that's not what we want to see. But if it's legitimately something like, okay, I want to stay hydrated and not die, great, good, please do.
Yes.
So, Monchi Boy's question, what is your favourite, most memorable roleplay moment?
I have one.
I have one.
I got two.
Well, I have one that comes to mind straight away.
Hmm.
Mm.
Oh no, I've got 3. Oh god.
Oh god.
Well, I mean,
God.
Who are we starting
no.
with?
You want to start with Chris and he can get his 3 out of the way?
Yeah.
Can't think of anything
Um,
right now.
Okay, so one is my chat at a weekender late one night with Mortimus, because as far as Jove's character development and his understanding of adventurers, it was really eye-opening. Like, they basically just shared their mutual backstories together, and what started off as a sort of bitter rivalry became like, okay, we get why we do this now. And it was just really good role playing. And I so rarely get to role play with people when I'm sort of game running, so that was really cool for me. Also, at our recent weekender, watching the characters who incidentally poisoned Jove and turned him into this, getting to roleplay their reactions and their regret and whatnot was really kind of touching. And then seeing how they tried to save him in the following day's battle as well, that was really heartwarming. And then finally, way back during the car tour weekender, I had a private little bit of roleplay where Jove was speaking with the voice of a actual dragon that was sort of possessing him to speak to some players. And it was a really sort of haunting scene where they were sort of cajoling and threatening this otherworldly entity. And whilst it wasn't me role-playing as Jove, it was just a really kind of fun experience. It was almost like a horror scene, which was really cool. Yeah, those are my 3.
Nice. Becky?
Yeah.
I have 2,
Mhm.
and they're both from the Carter weekender. Because that was my first weekender actually. And the first is when we had we had a meeting of all the faction leaders, and because the Kraken is trash and didn't have a real leader at the time, we just
I
all
remember
went.
that. I think
I
I helped
remember that.
orchestrate that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was this big meeting of all the leaders and Cartor, and something happened. We stole Jove's smite wand, and all of us Kraken just scrammed and ran as far away as we
I
possibly
remember
could.
having no idea what was going on there.
And we're just like, we got the wand! And I remember, because we all went in different directions, and when I finally, and we weren't sure what had happened to each other, we weren't sure if any of us had been caught, and I remember seeing one of the other guys in the Kraken, and being like, we're fine, everything's fine, we have the wand, and we just gave us this big hug, like, we did it, yeah! Now let's run back to camp before we get murdered. And then the second was also at the Carter Weekender. I'd had Jove's smite wand hidden in my costume for all the ball until the very end. And then I finally gave it to someone else. And then we were all, the Kraken and a few other factions, were all standing outside the room, ready to siege the hall to try and kill Carter or whatever, and then we're all ready to do it. We have like this flaming arrow and we're doing this whole thing. And then they're like, and we're done for the night, and we all just went, ah!
I also remember the fact that when we were doing that, we were aiming at one of the exploding sheep that was inside, and gosh, what's Hannah's character?
We were gonna blow it up.
Livia?
Lithia.
Just walks past the window that we had the arrow aiming at, looks at us and looks at all of us in the eyes, picks up the sheep and walks away.
Oh.
It was so dumb. But that entire weekend it was just nuts. But I don't think I have anything really as Pandora yet. I've had a bunch of great moments, but nothing that really sticks out as super memorable.
I think I also have 2. I already mentioned the stealing the cake. I have one from my old character Erenbor, who is resting in multiple pieces, where she tortured someone, someone who worshipped Zorg, the orc god of devouring and stuff. Cut this character's arm off as part of the torture, and then bound this character to be like, okay, your god doesn't want you to get your arm back. It has been devoured, and now you must continue to live without you. Like, I bound this person to believe that they shouldn't get their arm back, that they should just continue living because the god Zorg it is, religious reasons, and sent them back to their camp. And yeah, everyone in that camp, in that faction, fully believed that that's what that character would want. Fully believed that, oh yeah, Zorg worshipper, of course you don't want your arm back. And at the end of the game, as per torture and crippling rules, didn't have the arm back and no longer had an arm, and would have to, if they wanted to get it back, would have to go and do like other ritual stuff later. But I think that's my favorite roleplay moment as Erenbor. I can't think of one single one for Cass, but there was a Discord roleplay, because I think we've mentioned plenty of in-person roleplay moments, but there was a Discord roleplay I had a while back. I think it was with Solace, not my Solace, different Solace, B's Solace, and it was just this kind of sitting down at a table between this holy worshipper, like hunter character, and Kasan, the pirate king, and it just had, I don't know, like the energy of it was so satisfying, felt so good to have this just sit down and chat kind of roleplay, because it felt like a scene out of The Godfather or something, where like this person's sitting down with this, mob boss who absolutely could just kill you where you stand, and they're just sitting down and having a chat, and it was just such a fun scene to play out. I am finished talking, thank you.
Okay. So mine is as my deceased pixie Arca, rest in peace.
Rest in pieces as well.
Yeah. Well, no, they're not in pieces. They just got their throat slit. Their head is not off.
Their head is off. Okay.
No, their head is not off. It just nearly headless Arca, which was when Shadow decided to capture the Agrarians and sacrifice Atticus to Flamortis. And that whole roleplay around the entire thing was just amazing. So first we all got captured, and we were trying to figure out if we could get out, and I think amongst us we had like someone who could pick locks, and so we were slowly trying to pick all the handcuffs. I ended up getting let go and being told to bring an imp back, and if I brought the imp back, then Althea would let my friends go. Or he said he'd let like one or two of my friends go, and I was like, I know that everyone else can get out through lockpicking or acid. I think someone had acid. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm running around like crazy. The classic Arca is sprinting all the way across the hill, as usual. Try to find this imp, come back, and as I'm about to hand it over, Althea realized that the reason he wants it is for the Flamortis ritual, which led to Arca then having to decide whether they wanted to get their friends back or stop a ritual for Flamortis. Then Althea just hit them and took the imp anyway, and then Atticus got sacrificed, and I just remember screaming and crying like so much.
We love
just
trauma.
in character. But it was
trauma.
Amazing. And then Atticus turned into got zombified as a fully dead character, so was death frenzy, and then died again when got taken down, and I go screaming and running for Gilly, who is the only tier 3 healer, and she gets taken down as I'm coming over. This was back when tier 3 healers had one self-res a game, and so she picked herself up, picked me up, and then we went and rezzed Atticus, and it was fucking ridiculous, and I was crying so much, and it was amazing, and I loved it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Arca had emotions.
Raka had a lot of emotions all
There
of the
sure
time.
were quite a
Um,
few
And
emotions.
then, an honorable mention of Discord roleplay after the fact, which was the roleplay that Leo and I did, where Atticus revealed that he was a worshipper of dragons and didn't like Harker at all, and walked into a bonfire and died.
Oh my god.
Rip
Atticus was
Thanks,
great.
Leo, for giving my character all this trauma. I love you. Yeah. That's mine.
Merely.
I have a bunch of memorable moments. Some with roleplay and some without. Probably the most emotional roleplay ever happened was over Discord, and that was the death of Coral.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I made
Rip
people
Carl.
cry.
I was at a role-playing game and not home,
Badge
and
of
you
honor
made me
made
cry.
people cry.
That was the best.
It's the reason why Murky carries around a small vial of Coral's water.
Wow.
I effectively
Essence?
decided I don't really want to play this character anymore. I'm just gonna kill her. What's a fun way to kill her? Ah, yeah, she's just gonna disintegrate in front of her friends because she's an elementar and she's returning to a stream of magic or whatever. And so it was just like, I did it on Discord because it's like, oh, this is a vibe. And so many people were there and got upset at me, and I'm just like, I played this character for 2 games. What?
Coral's the character that consistently fell down the stairs into the ball.
Good times.
Good memory.
We are at time. Do we want to
We are.
answer 1 or 2
We-
questions?
How,
Yeah, which
how
one-
are we feeling?
What have we got
Um,
time wise?
Wait,
Um,
it is
It is
2 p.m.
Do we have any more questions?
I don't think.
There is one I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How does one portray that you just want to have a chat with someone while also looking possibly intimidating with a large sword?
Smile.
It's
Smile.
yeah, but it's also about posture. Like, if you have a very squared, face on posture, it's
I have an
A bit-
anecdote to share relating.
it's
to
a bit
this.
aggressive. And also, what are you doing with the sword? If you had it in one hand, like patting your hand with it, it might seem a little bit aggressive. Or so likewise, if you're trying to hide the sword, it might seem a bit like underhanded. So it comes
Keep it
down
sheathed.
to it comes down to your posture, what you're doing with the weapon, and like what, yeah, like as I said, like what's your what are you doing with your face? Are you leering at them? Are you got an open, smiling face? Like how you're portraying the character.
Yeah, and the thing is, if
Body
your character
language.
doesn't have a reputation or anything for violence, if you haven't been at games for a long time or any of that, if people don't know your character very well, they're not gonna immediately assume, ah, yes, this person wants to fight me. You have to. People generally assume you're gonna be friendly because fighting is
As-
not always great.
As a player who plays a character with a weapon that's inconvenient to have on them at any given time, it generally holding it in a non-confrontational way. So typically, when you see Corin walking around with his stuff, if he's just got it resting like in the crook of his left arm, it generally means he's just carrying it, like it's just there. He doesn't intend to do anything with it.
And pretty much, I have a quarterstaff for pretty much all my characters, and if I'm not being threatening, I just lean on it. Just be like, hey, I'm just leaning on my stick, just hanging out. I'm not about to whack you with it.
I have absolutely used all of these tips and advice you're giving to appear non-threatening, even though you have a weapon.
So have
that are
I,
solid
but
for
like
your
that's
sneak
not the
attacks
point.
on. I remember walking up to someone with my sword out, and as I was walking up to them, I like sheathed my sword. I was like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And then in my other hand, I had like a tiny little knife. So once like, they were tense and like, oh no, I'm ready for a fight now. And once I put my sword away, they were like, ah, yes, okay, cool. Normal conversation. So that sneak attack was easily the most satisfying one I have ever gotten.
Oh yeah, I've made some. I have remember my long run sneak attacks with the Kraken, namely with Becky, where I was like, "Oh, Naren, can we have a talk? I know we haven't got along for a while.
Yeah, we just need to have
You know,
a chat.
I've got my weapons sheathed."
Yeah.
And then I give her a hug, a friendship, and then I stab
Harry
her.
did my move. Hug and stab.
The
Someone
old
had a
hug and
question
stab.
about
Terrifying.
how I did my blade thing.
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you.
She's getting something.
You pulled your cable out.
Unplugged my
There we go.
headphones.
No,
No,
you're good.
no.
We're good.
Yep, there we
Hi,
go.
sorry. So what I did is I have this little bit of elastic, and basically I had a little punch dagger, and basically I would put the handle of the blade through that, and then I had about that much blade sticking out the end, but it was at my wrist, so it just kind of came out to there. So it was visible and you could see it. I wasn't going to be like sneak attack and have it completely concealed on my sleeve. But yeah, it was still hidden enough that no one would, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't see it. But if anyone tried to contest it, I could be like, there is a dagger here.
Mm.
Because you want to be sneaky, but you still want to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. So.
Another thing with the intimidation, just while I think of it, is it's more important to cultivate the reputation than to necessarily focus on the what you're carrying and how you're standing. Jove intimidates people, despite the fact that I'm definitely not in the top even 20 fighters in the game. I know the basics that I can teach people, but if I were to go up against someone like Galanath or Bannon, I'd be out instantly. But because of his reputation, that's what gets people kind of shaking.
100%.
And so
Reputation
if you
can be
yourself,
everything.
yeah, and if you yourself are not confident being the intimidating factor, then put yourself next to intimidating people. You'll find that people who spend a lot of time with characters like Bannon and Galanath tend to get this reputation of, okay, if they're hanging out in the same circles, they're going to be learning the same things, and they're going to be able to call on, if they're not the intimidating factor, other intimidating people. So yeah, you can psychologically manipulate your way into being intimidating far easier than picking up a big sword.
And if you hang around the right people, like people were intimidated by Naren. She was pathetic and weak, but she had a bunch of people who did what she wanted.
She wasn't
There are different
pathetic and
forms
weak
of
in
power,
roleplay,
Becky.
I think. Yeah. As a roleplayer, Naren is scary.
Like,
Yeah.
And he's not
there's
one to
personal
cross.
power, but there's also influential power. Much like Jove has influence, power and influence, so did Naren. Basically, the entire faction was at their beck and call. So
Becky and Cole.
Becky and Call. So basically, if you annoyed Naren, you had the entire pirate factions going after you, as well as a bunch of other people in random factions that really loved Naren.
Also, yeah, win people over, make people love you, especially the Tavern Guard.
Yes, make the Tavern Guard love you.
Because then you can get away with so many crimes.
The Tavern Guard love me.
They love to ignore you, pretend you weren't there.
LARP is honestly a great place to practice your social maneuvering abilities, and because
Practice your
as Addie said
social
before,
skills.
it helps increase confidence. It helps increase your ability to sort of interpret and understand people as well. Like I've learned so much just about people while running games. As far as crowd mentality and the way people will jump to conclusions and things like that. So now it's
Now we're all master manipulators. And use
And that's,
all our
yeah,
puppets.
I mean,
worst
that's one of the things.
possible way to put it. But when you are game running and when you're even acting, you're trying to create an emotional response in people. So yeah, whether you want to intimidate or whether you want to inspire, LARPing is a good place to practice that.
I mean, one of the things I learned as Naren was physically attacking people is far less scary than just staring them down and not saying anything. And just letting them talk themselves into a grave.
That's a Corin tactic.
Yeah, because it's
very
it's
entertaining.
creepy. Standing there staring at people.
So Lynn asked, have we eaten yet? And I vote to skip that question because she's not going to like my answer.
I ate food,
I
Lynn!
have. I've
No,
had
I
breakfast.
ate food! Be proud of me!
I invoke my right not to talk for fear of incriminating myself.
I plead the fifth.
And with those answers, I think we should look at wrapping up. So
Yeah, I think we should
we
end
can
before I get
fully,
in trouble.
before these two.
Stop the stream.
Stop the stream before I get in trouble, please.
Oh, the angry emotes.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, here they come.
There
Oh
we
no,
are.
I'm getting in trouble.
I'm angry emoting as well.
But yes. Let's
Oh wait, no, I can't.
yes.
Thank
Thank you all so much for,
Okay, yeah, we wrap up.
for
Hey,
dropping
Lynn,
by.
I've eaten as well. I had breakfast. Don't. Not the
Lynn's
problem
proud
here.
of me, guys! I'm good,
Ah,
we're good.
Lynn, you can't kick my ass. I'm in lockdown.
I might have gone to bed at 6 a.m. this morning and woke up half an hour before the stream.
Oh, Millie.
Maybe.
Millie. Lynn,
Me.
I will have you
Ugh.
know I have breakfast every morning because I'm a good. I enjoy being healthy.
I even went outside today.
I haven't been outside.
I'm so
I've done none
healthy.
of these things.
People can do
Amazing.
that?
Wild.
But yes,
I
thank
had a
you
bunch
all.
of fruit.
Thank you all so much for popping in, dropping by.
Thanks, everyone.
I hope you enjoyed our nonsense.
Yeah, this
And it
stream
was at all informative for new people.
Thanks for coming.
yeah, this stream was definitely one of the more we just sit around and shoot the shit kind of ones. But yeah, it was fun.
But it's because we love hanging out with you guys.
Yes, we do. We love getting we genuinely love answering your questions. Like this is
These are fun for us.
we
It may not look like it sometimes, but these are fun
we
for
are
us.
nerds. We enjoy
having fun, I'm
rambling
having
for
fun,
hours
having
about
fun.
our hyperfixations.
We are intending to do more specialized streams about designing a character and costuming. We've been talking about doing a wig stream with me, Addie, and Bort maybe, because we happen to know things about wigs. I know Addie wants to do another makeup stream at some point, and I'll do another costume one if people really want that.
I
So there
think
will
I
be more
was
streams.
Going to do a doing the makeup that Addie designed.
Yeah,
That too. So yeah, we're gonna have more stuff, hopefully. We
It's
want to still
just a
connect
case of
with you
actually
people.
getting around to it.
There's
Yeah.
also that. Yeah, we still want to
Unfortunately-
keep doing stuff.
Lockdown is lockdown, and
Lockdown
getting
sure does
motivation
exist.
is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although there are talks that they might be opening up community sport when the vaccination rate reaches 70 or 80%. So if you haven't booked in to do it yet,
Yes.
Jump on
I'm
board,
getting my
please.
second jab
Yeah.
next week.
Get
Get
jabs
your
so we
vaccines,
can
everybody.
get nerdy.
Yes.
I mean, come on, we get vaccinated for everything else.
Yeah.
Please just do this. You know, it's fine. God.
I got stabbed yesterday, and I already feel the 5G powers throwing through me.
I've got both
Ooh.
my jabs, and I'm
Hive mind!
so
Hive
connected.
But yes.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for dropping in. As always, we will put a post if you had a question but didn't get to ask it or something like that, or even if you have suggestions of what you'd like to see from us in future streams. I will plonk a post where you can share your thoughts and questions and such and such. But yes,
Give us
thank you.
ideas
Give
of
us
things
ideas.
to do
We
that
have
will entertain everyone
We
because
have
we're running out.
one brain cell between all of us, and we need you to pitch in.
Yeah,
Yes.
we take it in turns. Today's not my day.
But
As
yes.
Alexia said, get jabbed so you can get stabbed. And we'll
Hey.
see you guys next time.
Next
And the
time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.